greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Yes, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. Guys, please support the new TV network, Truthtainment TV Network. It's a blast doing this stuff, but yes, we're also still with TLB TV, the largest independent global TV network on the planet. With all that said, I want to introduce a very special individual, a family rights activist, onto the show. Her name is Jamie Johnson, and wow. She is a powerhouse and a person who is on my family case files team, co-hosting some shows with me, and hopefully will be more on a permanent position than that. So we'll see. We'll see how she does.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
So, Jamie, tell the audience about yourself. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for having me, V. I appreciate you having me on and giving me this opportunity. I'm just Jamie Johnson. I told you that earlier. I don't ever think that I was going to be called a powerhouse. Never thought that I would have family rights activist or advocate, mentor, or any of these titles by my name, around my name, or anywhere in my life. I recently, and this is where I have come to be here, is I did start a family rights foundation. It's called Family Rights Protection Foundation. We're here in Indiana, almost in the heart, real close to Indianapolis. A little over a year ago, I started it in November of 2017 in the planning stages. And I did not do this out of just, oh, I'm going to do this. This is going to be a great thing, and I'm going to make lots of money, or I'm going to help lots of people, and this is what I need to do. It was never planned. It was an unfortunate need. But I am blessed and honored to be able to fill that need. And we got to keep growing that need as an advocate and working on your other show, Joanne. We've learned these families, these children, our future, and our rights are being just totally violated, ignored, and if we continue to do this, it's going to keep going downhill. But however, the people that you reach out to get help are the ones involved in it. So advocates and our activists are so huge nowadays, and we need more and more of them. So with the foundation, we were able to bring a lot more awareness and hopefully do what I did with my other company prior, is a one-stop shop for people that need resources, education, support, love, and unity in this movement. I choose to call it a revolution. We are at a point where we are at a revolution in our own America. And so I use People's Revolution. This is the year of People's Revolution, for we the people to step up. And that's what I did. So I've owned that. And in that I have, it has been a crazy ride. I am not kidding. I owned a biker babe company, bikers, and I thought that was a rough ride, but no, family rights, politics. When I got into this with one department, ended up being all these different departments that I had to then learn about and educate, empower myself to know. So that's why I'm here.
You actually were a police dispatcher, and
Yeah.
whenever you ended up getting into your ordeal, let's start there.
Let's start there. I was a young mom. I had my child at 17. I raised her for the first 4.5 years of her life. At the time when this happened, I was a 911 dispatcher. I had started the police department in Marion County. We had 2 different departments at the time. That is not the way it is today. We had Marion County Sheriffs and IPD. IPD was the heart of Indianapolis, the city police, and then you had the Sheriff's Department. I worked for what was Marion County Sheriff's Department. They also were in charge of the jail. I started my position at the jail as a security desk. And why I did that is because my family member was there. During that process, I decided this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a police officer. I'm going to protect, families and be the law woman that I need to be, like my father was heading towards. And I loved what I did. I thought that I was doing good and helping, and I was put into 911 where, man, again, what a life. I have heard and seen things that you wouldn't believe. And one of them was the conflict between the 2 departments. We dispatched for IPD and county, and they did not like each other. They just did not.
Let me interject here and say, it's a good thing we don't have policewomen like you, because the arrest rates would be going up. I'd probably commit a crime just to have you frisk me.
I'm not sure, what God had intended for me to do other things. And I'm going to tell you why, because the worst time in my life brought me to where I'm at today, and some of the best things that have happened to me in those hardships. And with that, IPD, I can remember one night where they were having a police shootout, and the guys are arguing over the dispatch radios, whose lights are on, so who doesn't get shot. Really? Just do what you need to do to protect your fellow brother. So in that, what basically happened is I was dating an officer. I became in a relationship with a deputy, very well respected. This man worked in the garage. He used to drive the sheriff around in the limo. He worked on all the cars. He was very well known and very different from me. He was not this bubbly outgoing. He was very reserved and quiet. And I fell in love with an officer. And we were going to be these 2 officers, husband and wife, and we were going to take on the world together and save it. Little did I know what was going to happen. The day I took that test, my entire life changed. I went from having a home, a career, everything that I loved, a man that was, everything to me. And here I had actually had I'll just say there was a guarantee that I was going to get through. Guarantee. Me and my dad were going to make it. My dad did become an officer. I did not. And the reason is 8 hours later, my child had suffered a break in her leg and was at the hospital. While I took the thing, I left her in the care of my boyfriend and my 16-year-old brother. And in that 8 hours of me taking the test, they had accused my boyfriend, the deputy, of breaking my daughter's leg. Even though my daughter repeatedly was just scared, but didn't ever imply or anything. But basically I was told that if I did not testify against this officer, my boyfriend, that I didn't love my daughter, and that I was going to lose custody. And that is my first beginning of seeing the corruption. Now, it was way back in the day. There wasn't the internet. We didn't have this amazing tool, but I was all alone. And I ended up, they took my daughter through family court. My ex-husband, who had a record, who lived at home with his mom. I had my own house. Again, I was a 911 dispatcher on my way to be a cop. I was even put through a psychological evaluation by my 911, and it all boiled down in the questioning of what I was going to testify against Mark, who was my boyfriend, the sheriff. So they didn't care about my sanity. They wanted to know what I was going to do against their officer. Was I going to be honest and what they would say, protect him, or was I going to hurt their case? It didn't matter. You know, he basically was found not guilty. He is a deputy to this day. Actually, he's a detective at Marion County to this day. But in this, we had IPD investigating a Marion County Sheriff's deputy. And at that time, IPD had huge problems in the media. We had a huge brawl that I want to say 6 officers had beat people at a bar downtown. Huge. They were sitting next to me in dispatch. They were put on administrative, and they literally were next to me when this happened in the dispatch center. And they had a couple drunk driving situations or something. Again, they were in the media. They were not favorably in the media. And so this detective with the IPD decided he would get a deputy in there. He would make sure, and it was just a matter of, that was all it was. I got stuck in the middle of a political war between 2 departments. 10.5 months, I was put through a chins. They founded the chins. In the next sentence, they gave my ex-husband custody. They dropped the chins. And after 10.5 months of saying what a horrible mom I was, I couldn't be alone with my daughter. I walked out of that courtroom that night, went home and took my daughter home all by myself, and CPS, DCS was never involved again until I filed an appeal, spent thousands of dollars, and I won. But did I get my daughter back? No, I sure didn't. So they ended up filing the emergency custody order before they took it into the juvenile court. And when I appealed it, that took it back and reversed it back to family court. I went back into divorce court after he was found not guilty. I still lost custody for my daughter having her leg broken by that same gentleman. Again, he is
now, I wanted to point out here the situation, as I always point out psychological operations, especially when dealing with any law enforcement, intelligence agencies, or courts. Now, the situation here is you are sitting here professing that your boyfriend was a great cop. Now, I can second that just from the situation of knowing this whole ideology behind these police departments. And the ideology is, we don't have room on our force for a good cop.
And I see so that now.
A situation arose to where, okay, we got a chance to get at this cop and get him off the force. And here you are, dispatch officer, and they want to get into you, to get into him, and create a situation where, yeah, they're going to take custody away from this man and clip his paycheck for you know, child support. Da, 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 da. You weren't going for it. You two stuck together as a team, and
actually, he was not my husband. He was not the child's father.
He was not the child's father.
No. The stepdad or the dad came in and got custody because he was willing to work with the police department. He was
willing to work with the police department. Okay, yes. Well, but still, you two walked away without the child, since you two had your solidarity together.
And we couldn't we were put restraining orders on each other immediately. I almost went to jail for breaking a restraining order.
Oh, shoot. Let me let you finish telling the story. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Let me tell you. Listen up, hon. Listen up. I have witnessed this, and if that's why I have such a passion 20 years later that I feel I'm on my right path, because I was 21 years old, and like everybody else, I was so naive. I was like, surely I'm going to be a cop. Like, I've done everything right. I have no record. I have my own home. You know, no. They blocked us from each other, immediately told me that if I believed him, then I did not love my child. When I first arrived at the hospital, I was secluded, put in there, pounding that he had broke my daughter's leg, and that if I didn't listen, you know, there'd be an issue. I was told by the detective, I have a witness, they said, if you don't testify against him, we will take custody of your child. I was removed from the hospital physically by 2 security. I was walked out, said that something happened in the room, that I was coaching her, but we were around supervision the whole time. I mean, they immediately took my child and immediately said that if I stood behind this officer, I did not love my child. So I was put in the middle. And again, it was all about what power. Now that I'm in this, like you said, definitely can see they don't have room for somebody like that. So for whatever reason, they did come at him. It was 2 years, I believe, before he had a criminal trial. He was one of the few that was charged criminally. And I'm going to tell you why. It was publicly put out there. It was hidden for 3 months after my daughter. I went back to work. I did dispatch. I had, again, no issues. I didn't have any problems. I was fighting them to just see him. Basically, they put my daughter with her dad, said, you get supervised visits, and I never saw him. I never offered, now that I know now, I was never offered services. There was no safety plan. There was nothing. They basically said, you don't testify, we're going to take your kid. And that's what they did. And they put him in another home for 10 and a half, for her in another home in a worse situation. And then in 2.5 years, after I had already lost custody, he was found not guilty, and he moved on. We never, ever got back together. I did break the restraining order because I wanted to look him in the eye and ask him, you are accusing a man that I loved, a man that I allowed my daughter. He was a police officer. I had a relationship with him. He had never hurt her. I want to look you in the eyes. My grandma always told me, you need to look somebody in the eyes to be able to tell if they're telling you the truth. People talk with their eyes. And I to this day, I will believe he did not break my daughter's leg. I have 4.5, there was 4.5 hours of audio that I heard with my own ears because I had to save money. So I transcribed it at the attorney's. So I listened to the 4.5 hour interview with that same detective where he refused to listen to my daughter. Refused. Every time she told him the dog broke my leg, the dog broke my leg. No, that couldn't have happened that way. There's no way that happened that way. No, our friend, the doctor, 4 hours with a 4.5-year-old little girl. And at the end of it, she finally says, fine, Mark Rudder broke my leg. And that was it. They took that clip and that was it. She admitted that he broke her leg. So from that point on, it was horrible. So that's where it started.
Hold on, we have to take a quick commercial break.
Videotaping.
It's legal to videotape at a police facility.
You have some ID, please? No.
It's
when you're
legal.
out here, when it's actually, I think I know you. You used to come over to the old station occasionally, right?
Yeah.
You know, how come?
I'm a news
remember
guy.
Your name? Yeah, I know. Why don't you tell me your name? News people have ID.
We don't. Well, according to what the court said in San Diego last week, is that who was the police department in San Diego to ever write anybody a press credential? And that was said in open court.
Okay, and do you have that case law with you?
Yeah, I do.
The problem is when you're videotaping a police department, that has some security issues to it. That's why we're asking what you're doing and who you are.
It's legal to film a building.
Yeah, you can, but we still need to know who we're talking to when you're out videotaping parts of a secure building. But to answer your first question, the FBI is not here. So if you want any further questions answered, you can go to the lobby and ask for the PIO, which I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, I know the captain very well.
Okay, well that's what I would suggest you do, okay?
Mm-hmm. My job's to get footage of these guys bringing people in and out.
And who hired you to do that?
That ain't none of anybody's business.
Okay.
Hey, bro, well, guess what? They're trying to tell me I'm detained, and that is against the law to film over here. Yeah, you like that? Yeah, well, I don't know when they're going to learn the rules, but we'll figure it out. Now they're telling me I'm detained, and I need to sit down on a thing because I'm filming them. So anyway, you're M. Nelson, and you are D.E.
Phone will finish your conversation.
Okay. Hey, listen to this. Okay.
Hey, if you want to videotape or ask further questions, you can go down here, but get away from this part of the access, okay? This is not open to the public, okay?
As long as we can stand outside this building and shoot, it is open by law. And I do know the laws. And your name is Sergeant who?
My name is Sergeant Sams.
Thank you, Sergeant
S-A-M-S. Okay?
Thank you,
What
Sergeant
is your name
Sams.
again?
That ain't important.
Okay, why is it important you know my name?
Because you're a public person, and
Who are you? I'm
a private citizen,
person, right?
I'm a private citizen.
You're a press person, is what you told us you were.
I am.
Okay, you're free to leave. Goodbye.
You guys have a nice day.
Hello, I'm B from the Red Pill Hardcore TV show, and I'm here to deliver a message to you. I am standing up, and I think you guys should stand up too. What are we standing up for? Clean air. The New World governments have been spraying aluminum, strontium, barium, all kinds of nanoparticulates, salts, heavy metals, and we are losing our environment. We have trees with aluminum toxicity. Our wildlife is disappearing, one species at a time. We have weather warfare weaponry. If there is anything such as global warming, well, we have ionospheric heaters that's dramatically bombarding our atmosphere. All this damage can be done to the environment by these nanoparticulates being sprayed into the atmosphere. We know that it's causing respiratory issues. We know that it's causing autism. We know that it's causing Morgellons, the transhumanistic disease. What else is it doing? I think it may just be altering our minds. Watch my movie, and then you decide. I am V from the Red Pill Hardcore radio show and TV show. I'm here to tell you guys about my militia, the Red Pill Militia of Minnesota. The militia is there to protect the people of the United States from any enemy that may threaten our way of life, regardless of religion or political stance. We will unite the people as one to fight tyranny of any form from anywhere, including our own government. We will see the people free again. I hope you would like to join my militia. Please visit our Facebook page, The People's Red Pill Militia. Like, comment, let us know in general what you think. And if you want to be a volunteer, all you have to do is coordinate with our members. We're all honorary brothers of the militia because we all protect our freedoms. Our constitutional rights are the most important things that we have as American citizens. So please help me in protecting those rights and join my militia.
For some reason you can't roll the window down. I saw you roll it up.
I don't answer questions. I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions?
That's correct.
What's the reason for that?
I don't answer questions.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. Do you know this lady back there in the accident, or?
I don't answer questions.
Okay. Well, have a nice day, sir.
All right, thank you. Can I help you?
Make me start. You Kenneth Suter?
I don't answer questions. Can I help you?
I was looking for a Kenneth Suter.
I don't answer questions.
You lost?
I don't answer questions.
Pronounce your last name for me.
I don't answer questions.
I'm going to need you to pronounce your last name.
I don't answer questions. It's there on the license.
Okay. Who was the gentleman you were just standing here?
I don't answer questions.
Is there a reason why?
I don't answer questions.
Okay. Do you have a nice day? Okay?
You too.
Can you give me your phone number?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, is there anybody here that can answer questions?
Don't answer questions.
Okay. I'm not sure how to respond to that, sir.
Sorry. Okay. Have a nice evening.
Yes, we are back from break. I am your host, B still, and I have the beautiful Jamie Johnson still here with us. And I want to start off by pointing out the coaching. Now, you get accused of coaching when before they even had to speak to the little girl, they were coaching you, saying, you have to testify, you have to testify, coaching you, you refused. So then they started coaching the girls. But yet they wanted to accuse you of coaching. Now, coaching in this scenario, when dealing with legal matters, it seems as though only the courts can do the coaching. I mean,
right?
What is that?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you, in this year and a half, a little over a year, I am, again, I'm as floored as the parents. Every case is like, just, how do they get away with that? How do they talk? How do they seclude your child? How do they start feeding stuff into it? But it does, and it happens on so many levels. From the parents, like you said, to the family. They will use the family. They will separate wife, husband, mom, dad, aunts and uncles, grandparents. They've got grandparents that come in and take the kids, and then they, get them against the other family members. And that happened. I unfortunately have suffered in my own personal relationship. Obviously, like I said, 2 people went to that test, and one of them was my dad and I. And in the end, the department took him, and I went down a very hard path because I lost custody of my daughter for 7.5 years. I chose not to be a dispatcher.
It's very criminal. I mean, if you're going to use the testimony of the child in these situations, the testimony of the child should be taken immediately, on the spot, upon taking custody, and that should be it. There should be no later on, okay, well, she's been in the custody of CPS for 3 weeks, all of a sudden her story's changed. That should not be the final testimony, because there's obviously coaching. Because I've heard it a lot. I hear it all the time. Well, they told me that if I didn't say this, this, and this, I would never see my parents again. They will manipulate the child into saying whatever they want.
It's public, Dad versus CPS. There's a case that it's public, guys. There's recordings of it. You're right. She says, I think the CASA worker says, well, we've punished her for not listening or something. It's like she was so scared to do anything. This little girl was 12 years old and ran away because she's been abused in all ways in the foster care system. And nobody's listening to her. She's 12, but yet you want to say my 4.5-year-old, after 4.5 hours of recording or pounding her and interviewing her, that her testimony is okay and a 12-year-old's is not? They pick and choose. Where's the children's rights here, guys? They don't have any right now.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And what do we need to do about this? What needs to be done?
Well, that's why, again, 20 years later, here I am. I have children that are 25 to 6. I have 2 children in the school system right now. I have a wonderful school, but oh my gosh, golly, number one, educate yourself. Learn what's going on. I myself was dumb to what was going on around me. Can't do that. So we need to wake up. We need to wake up. And with that, my 2 youngest went to school, and the law changed, where in the schools, they are the biggest targets, guys. They are working with your schools and your hospitals. We have to protect ourselves there. So it's a matter of changing the funding, for one thing. But with that, I have 2 other children, and I was faced with an encounter of a law change where it didn't go through the principal to report now. Your teachers just report. I know everybody's mandated, but they had a procedure in the schools where you had to go through the admins. Well, I've worked with that school for over 2 years at this point. My kids are special needs. I am a stay-at-home kind of mom. I mean, I am around, so I go to all the events. I make the soap boxes. I know that school, and they know that I would never abuse my child. My child does not go in there in any kind of abusive situation. She's not, they're clean fed. There's never been an issue besides some of their own developmental and behavior problems. Okay, well, she called on a scratch. 20 years later, I could not believe it. I was facing DCS again. And it was on a Friday. I get a note, that famous note that they leave that says, they mail you, you've been accused of abuse. We are going to come in and invade every right you have, and we're not going to tell you, but you're going to feel that you have nothing to hide, and you're going to abide by us, and then you're going to find yourself in the middle of corruption for years because we make money off your kids. I learned that in a weekend, okay? I saw that there was no changes, that it was worse, and being the strong woman that I am, businesswoman, and listening to what I feel is my inner power, my higher power, I felt that he said, you need to take this path. This is why I did this 20 years ago. You see what I had planned for you. So first of all, I was waking up and understanding where we fit into this world. I have gifts, and they're my mouth and making this happen and bringing people together. I have, again, the People's Revolution is about unity and love. I use the initials PLUR, plur. We plur everybody. That's number 2, guys. You guys need to plur throughout your life, and that's empowering or powering through things.
Well, your greatest gift is your brain and what it's soaked in. Okay? These things, I've had a gift for not having to experience a lot of things in life, although I'm very well experienced. I've not had to go through 9/10 of the experiences most people have had because I've taken myself to a point where I sit back and I listen. I analyze. I was a quiet kid in school because I always examined and studied social scenarios, situations. You know, old Billy Bats took the wrong girl to the prom. Now he's an outcast. You know, just stuff like that. You know, it's always taking a cue. I've always been told because of my intelligence, I had something wrong with me. I was a special kind of genius, savant. Not so much. I don't want to take all that credit, but it's just that I want to study social cues so I can learn and make my life a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, I need to
be able to do that. And that's something that a lot of people need to do. People need to quit doing the Jerry Springer thing, being reactive and and getting the government and the courts involved into every aspect of their lives because, you know, this whole Jerry Springer thing, that's the justification. That's why Jerry Springer was on. The American people are stupid. They can't handle themselves, and this is why we need intervention into everything that everyone's doing, and that's a load of crap.
You know, and that's one thing they rely on and that's what I tell. I've actually had a grandma call me, and her words just hit me and pierced me when she said, well, I'm ignorant. And I said, you're not ignorant. You're just uneducated in this area right now. We're going to, empower you. And again, plur you. We're going to empower you and give you those tools. We're going to, love on you. We're going to unite with you, and we're going to respect you. We're not going to treat you like what they do. The one thing that I think also matters in what I've done in advocacy is we do need to step up, get some training, and do some things if you're going to take that lead position. But just we the people, it's about loving and being kind and caring and just not judging as much. And you're right, this reason this is happening is they rely on that. They rely on the division, and they rely on your uneducated mind. Not that you're stupid in a sense. I'm going to kind of say that I am really learning to choose my words because I do believe a lot of them are so stupid to the truth. If you're working for DCS and you know they're doing that and you work for them, I'm sorry you got a problem, but there are still good people in there. But they know. It's just like an abused child. You know. I've went to 3 funerals this year of children that were beat, neglected, sodomized, raped, and killed. And you're going to tell me somebody didn't know? Because I told you, my principal knew that my daughter wasn't abused, and he backed me. Now I have a relationship with him, but I went through so much. They violated their rights. I stood up, and they didn't like that. You don't give them urine, hair without a warrant, probable cause. I know that they can do that. Once they get your kids, it's a totally different story, but you said it. Be proactive, not reactive. And I'm guilty myself. You know, I got angry at this caseworker. I gave her my mind a little bit more than I do now as a professional, but I knew what I had a right, and I stood my ground. I never let her in my house. I've had CPS called on me even out of retaliation, and they didn't get past my front door. I have him telling me that I know more than him. Because I told him, I said, I guarantee to you, the first time I met him, I said, I guarantee I know more than you. And by the end, he said, you're right, you do know more than me. And that's your CPS worker. We have untrained people. We have them, like you said, taking the good people and shoving them out. So being proactive, not reactive, is definitely key.
Well, so I want to know more about your foundation. How can people get involved? How can we make it bigger?
And that's what we need to. We need to. What I envision is what we've worked on is a database. Nobody knows where to go. Your rights need to be protected right off the bat. They're supposed to even hand you a paper and say, this is your rights. If you look, you need to empower yourself, first of all, before you do anything. Make sure you know your constitution, your state constitution. If you're dealing with DCS, DCS. If you're dealing with family courts, family court laws. You know, rules. There are rules. I didn't know that. I had to find out. But we need that one-stop. Like I said, I did a one-stop shop for lady riders. We need a one-stop shop for the family rights revolution, for the people's revolution, where they can call and find out where an advocate is. And that's, again, where we need advocates to step up in every state and be directors. I have a few states already. I pretty much have done a lot of it with a very limited resources and people, but I am not going to say that we still didn't succeed. We have grown in the fact that I am able to help so many families. We have some advocates behind the scenes that are able to do stuff, but we need the Family Rights Protection Foundation. You can find that at on Facebook, or we do have a website. I'm not saying it's the greatest. We could use a website person to donate some time there. And those are the things. We need money for those to, you know, not to put in Jamie's pocket, but to run the Zoom, to do the things that we do, the lives that I help. I've been able to stop more CPS workers and even have a lawsuit filed with a family here in Indiana by the reverse Miranda rights, by the children knowing their rights and what to do. And in that, it was able to stop it. We have to educate people. So we need big, key people in there that are willing to give their time. I have Connie, who's an attorney. I have some other law advisors. I have, again, Brian Kendrick and Marty Norman, who are people that I look up to. I have I Will Survive is a website, Facebook page, and a group, a support group that I'm able to send families to. We need to unite with the right people. Unite with those people that are doing right and building each other up. So Family Rights Protection Foundation.org, Facebook, you can donate. There is a donate button on there. Right now we have the PayPal donation through J.Johnson at Family Rights Protection Foundation.org. Anything, I am not a 501(c)(3). I will make that very clear, but I am a nonprofit. So it's not tax deductible. I can't get that out. But we are working towards that. It takes this. And since I'm up the people I battle and our foundation battles is they have the endless pot of money. They're like the little leprechaun at the end of the rainbow. But they don't give you nothing. They steal your kids. So I would really appreciate for some people, we do have people stepping up, but for We need law, people. So your reverse Miranda is late. I'm sorry, I'm like talking a mile a minute because I want to get stuff in. It's so important for this education, guys. It's so important. So get involved with us. Make sure you like the page so you can follow us. Reverse Miranda rights are actually pinned on our Facebook page. They are a little card, and it's just that. What are your Miranda rights? You have the right to remain silent. Well, guess what? I'm going to reverse it, and I'm telling you that I am choosing to be silent. And as a child, what you can do is you need to teach your children to not talk. Now, I am going to say this loud and clear. I am not saying in abusive situations. Teach your children, my children included, that if anybody is harming them, they are to reach out, but they're to reach out in a different way. Teach them that. When they're in a school setting, they're taking your children out of school, putting them in a room with a stranger, no video, no audio, and they say whatever they want. Now, I told you that I listened to 4.5 hours of my child's interview. Now, I was blessed because it was done by the police department. So I was blessed to see that. Now, I heard how they interview. I've also done some training on that, suggestive questioning. So with that, I teach children at any level. You're going to have to, you got a teenager, don't talk. You tell them you want your mom, family, your parent, and an attorney. The kids sometimes like to say, no, I want my attorney. I want my attorney. But we teach them to say, I will not talk. I want my mommy. I want my mommy. I want my daddy. I want my mommy. They have a card. If your children are old enough to print off this card, fill it out, and it says who to contact, and it says the Miranda rights. There's a letter. We are working on that. I really need some, again, law people to come in because I have schools refusing to take these. That's why, again, they're always like, well, how can I make them stop interviewing my kid at school? You can't. Right now, the laws permit it. They came in on my daughter needing a warrant. I went around with them for 2 weeks on my little one for a scratch on her belly, okay, that I had already had my family doctor immediately look at on Monday when I finally found out what this emergency abuse was all about. So with that, teach your children. You cannot change the system in a day. It takes you supporting those activists, parentrights.org, and I'll have to check on this, but there is a specific organization that is fighting legislation. Support the lawsuits that are out there. Support the foundations that are fighting, but you can't do that all by yourself. So teach your kids not to talk. I want my mommy. I want my daddy. And if they like to have big britches, I'll see my attorney before I speak to you. Okay, and then you give this letter as well. This letter, you demand that school take it. If they refuse it, I got some new ways we're looking at. I believe that we can do some certification or certified mailing and things like that, but that's where the lawyers come in. Teach your children right from wrong. Teach them not to bully, too. That's another thing. They rely on those situations at school, behavior problems, disabilities. They snatch your kids just like they did, in the hospitals. They're doing it in the schools. So reverse Miranda rights. Just you stating, I'm not going to talk. Give the information in a card. Demand that your kids keep handing them that. If they won't take it, another thing that I suggest a child learn is I would never want my child to get in a car with a CPS worker. Never. There's nothing for protection. So I ask my children, and I tell people, tell your kids to demand a cop and tell them to demand it from the principal. And beforehand, you tell them in that letter, if this is to happen and my child is removed, they better be removed by at least a police officer. Now, I'm not saying they're the best, but they have recordings and they have a little bit more accountability.
Well, I was going to say police with body cams. And I don't understand why that these CPS workers, why these children, because there are cameras on us all the time. There's a camera on, the lights, street lights, the cameras in the stores. There are cameras everywhere. But it's a complete mystery as to what goes on in the courtrooms And these orphanages, it's a complete mystery about these CPS holding places. It's a complete mystery of these homes that they get put in. It's a complete mystery of what the politicians are doing behind closed doors. No cameras. Cameras on us. We are the
I have a bill that I want to put through.
And they are the public servants.
Yep.
The people have no idea how backwards things are. We are the government. We the people. And our public servants are supposed to do what we tell them to do. And everything is completely backwards right now. People, body cams, there shouldn't be footage. There should be zero footage cut out of a child taken from custody to wherever their final destination is. There should be zero footage taken out. For every room, dormitory, wherever they house the children, there should be surveillance that even the parents should be able to go online. I want to see my child. I want to watch my child. This is my campaign. This is what I would like to see happen. Cameras. Recording. Oh, I don't know what happened. What happened to my daughter at 1,800 hours over there? You claim I gave her the scrape on a knee. What happened right there? Oh, she was in your custody. Give me back my child. That sort of thing.
I actually started, again, that's part of the reason you want to know about my foundation. That's actually, again, my daughter is the whole reason. Again, my two daughters. Our family name is Starr, and I actually have talked about it from the very beginning, the Starr bill. And I have been campaigning for body cams on the DCS workers and their phone calls at all times. So I love that we think great minds do think alike. And it's right there. I say it all the time, record. But let me say, we run into issues there as well. They don't want you to record. I have been kicked out of meetings. You see them. We're not going to have this. We're not going to do this. And they dangle your children in front of you and tell you if you record, you don't get to see them. I tell people and again, I do it myself. I record everything. Put a hidden audio recorder. I'm not saying video, but you need to if you feel you're at risk. My kids have a few other things that they have coming up that I'm going to start working on some programs. I don't want to let everything out here. But for kids to have some different protection on their own, to be able to protect themselves, because again, we can't always be there. I can't homeschool my kid, okay? Not going to happen. I live too busy of a lifestyle, and I don't want to. I have so much respect for the teachers. Even though the DCS workers get all the money in our state, $300 million, and our teachers got none of that. Just saying, kind of ridiculous considering they're the ones that are building our children. I think it's sad that, and that's one of the things that got me off mind, that is a problem. Money. Our education is being gypped, and they're doing it for a reason. They're absolutely. So why not record? Protect yourself. Put your kids, yes, in a setting, but protect them in that setting. I have to put them in school, but I'm going to give them some tools. We have to educate them. And unfortunately, in today's society, it's younger and younger. Check your kids' electronics. I'm going to say that. Absolutely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you for coming onto the show. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And yes, she's going to be our gorgeous Jamie Johnson. She's going to be on Family Case Files, to being a guest co-host, and we'll try to get some stuff done. As a matter of fact, she is a representative of Team Jamie. So please get a hold of her if you have a family court situation going on, okay? And the name of the show is Family Case Files for a reason. Don't contact us with a 20-page story of what's going on. No, we need a docket number, case number, to go to our legal advocates that can decipher, pull up the paperwork, and fight for you. Okay?
That's a problem we have, and thank you for saying that. I'm going to just throw that in because we do have that problem. Guys, I can't do anything either unless you provide me with the paperwork. I get tons of calls. You also have to you have to do it yourself. You have to want to. So thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that. I deal with that as well.
Well, family case files would have been up a year sooner had we 99% of the people who said yes, we would love to come onto your show didn't have any of their paperwork.
Yeah.
People, this is how they are winning. You're not keeping your paperwork.
Yep. And I told people, can I give a little suggestion? If you're starting to deal with a case, I know we're almost out of time, but again, I hope you have me back on because there's so much more that these people need to know. So much more. One of them is stay organized and keep your paperwork. Get, like they said, I've said over and over, get the paperwork, keep it in a binder. Put it in sections. Keep all your correspondence, keep all your recordings, your videos, and make a timeline. A timeline. Start it from the beginning because when you have to go back and do it, a lot harder. So keep organized, keep your paperwork, request your paperwork, demand your paperwork, and if you can't do it yourself, reach out to Family Rights Protection Foundation and we'll help you.
All right. Thank you once again. This has been another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show with me, your host, V. And catch you guys next time.